Whatever suffers is not part of me. That is the title of today's lesson in A Course in Miracles, lesson 248. If it's not you who suffers then? And why do I feel suffering if it's not part of me? Welcome, my name is Flemming, and my mission in life is to help you and myself live an authentic life. And one of the ways I do this is by reading A Course in Miracles, and I do the lessons almost every day. And I still, through 10 to 15 years, use this book almost every day, and I still use the lessons almost every day. So today's lesson, Whatever Suffers is Not Part of Me, lesson 248. And let me just read from it, and let's take it from there. I'm not going to read all of it, just a few reflections on it. So, I have disowned the truth. Now let me be faithful in disowning falsity. Whatever suffers is not part of me. What grieves is not myself. What is in pain is but illusion in my mind. So I have disowned the truth. I am not living in truth. And when I'm suffering, when I feel pain or mental stress, I am not living in my true self. I am not living in the truth. I am living in what the Course calls illusions. And this idea that we have disowned the truth is a part of why we feel this pain, why we feel this suffering. Because what initially created the idea of suffering was this experience that we were disconnected from our source, that we were no longer connected to God, that we were separate from God and from the oneness that is our truth. And out of that came this feeling of being alone, of being disconnected and not being whole. And it is this feeling, this pain, this suffering, it stems from that feeling of being disconnected, not being a part of who I am, not being connected to my Creator. That was what created this feeling or experience of suffering. And on top of that, imagine yourself in that situation. You were like falling out of the nest, and suddenly you're all alone, and you feel totally disconnected to your source, to your provider, to your everything. How do you cope with that? And the way we coped with it was to create another self. A self that was not living in truth, but a self that was constructed to cope with this situation of not living in truth. And we call this the ego today. And the one who's actually in pain, the one who's actually suffering, is not your true self. It's your ego self. The self you created based on that experience, based on that feeling of being disconnected. And being disconnected and somehow blaming yourself. This is the same experience for all of us. This. We may have different experiences in the world now, but that basic feeling of separation, it is the same. And we feel, and the ego is handled by making even more distance between you and your source. And by attacking God, by attacking you, by doing whatever is necessary to somehow make it tolerable to be in this situation. And one of the things the ego did was to punish you. So you're made defense mechanism in your mind that actually punishes you. How does it punish you? Through suffering. So you're the reason why you're not connected to God anymore. You are guilty, right? And you do handle this by self-abuse, by self-sabotage, doing whatever is necessary to make your own life so miserable as possible. And it's not only you, I do the same thing. So all the pain I have in my body, all these feelings of being in a heavy and not well functioning body, as well as all my frustrations about all the things I have to do to take care of myself, my depressions, my anger, my whatever negative feelings I have, these are all punishments. These are ways we punish ourselves. Because none of that is true at all. There is no frustration in God. There is no pain or suffering in God. You don't have to do anything in God. You don't have to fight for your right to be here. You don't have to protect yourself. You're totally provided in God. But we have a belief that we are separate from God. And we have created this ego to help us cope with that situation. But what we've never realized is that was all an illusion. It was never true. We were never disconnected from God. And we had no need for the ego. But now it's part of us. And the fact is that most of us identify more with the ego than we do with our divine self. And this is the message of today's lesson: is start looking at who is your counselor. Who are you listening to? Are you listening to the Holy Spirit, or are you listening to the ego? And whenever you are in pain, whenever you feel suffering, you're not yourself. You're not part of what is your true self. So you must have listened to the wrong counselor. You must have made the wrong decision. You must have identified yourself with something which is not real. And the ego is simply not real. The ego is only, the ego is not an entity. The ego is not a person. It's not something that is real. It's just a defense mechanism. It's a collection of beliefs in your mind. But you see those beliefs as the truth. So whenever one of those beliefs pops up and say, now you're guilty, now you should be shameful, now you should be afraid, now you should have pain, you believe it to be true. And you act accordingly. So today's lesson is this wake-up call. Observe yourself. Observe whenever you are in suffering. Ask yourself, who am I listening to now? Am I in my true self, or I am in my false self? Can I disown the falsity in this situation, or am I loyal to the falsity? Can I disown it in the same way I disowned the truth? I could do that. So if I could disown the truth, I should be able to disown the falsity as well. But it demands that we are aware of the situation, that we notice them, that whenever we feel suffering, this is a wrong situation. And I have to disown that situation. I have to just remind myself that this is not true. I don't have to fight it. I don't have to accept it. I can simply say to myself, this is not truth. So, Holy Spirit, what is the truth here? So seek the right counselor. Listening to the ego is madness. And the really mad thing is that we made that ego ourselves. I'm totally responsible for making my own ego. I decided in every detail. But I was mad. And it's still madness. So now I am waking up. And you are probably too. And we have to notice these things. We have to notice, who am I listening to? Who am I identifying with? Am I listening to the ego? Am I identifying with the beliefs of the ego? And if I am, stop and say, Holy Spirit, please help me. guide me, show me how to handle this situation. And you will experience that the Holy Spirit will lead you to peace, to joy, to love. The ego will always lead you to something else. If it's not pain, it's not suffering, then it will be doubt, it will be fear, it will be guilt, it will be shame, it will be lust, it will be pleasure, whatever. Not that is what you want. The Holy Spirit will only guide you to connection, to love, to peace, to joy. So, yeah. So that is, I think that's my reflection about this. And for today, I will be aware. Who am I listening to right now? And if I feel pain, if I feel suffering, if I feel distress, if I am anything else but in peace, then I will ask the Holy Spirit to help me. Step forward, help me, Holy Spirit. And also ask my spirit guides to help me through the day, help me being aware of my thoughts, help me being aware of which counselor am I talking to. So thank you for listening. I hope you could use it, and maybe I'll see you again another time. Bye.